What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumbass. Like and subscribe. Sorry I haven't done a video in a couple of days. It's been a long weekend, long bot day weekend. Went and did some fun stuff, basically. It was really good. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what we are going to talk about is something that popped off, I don't know, a couple of days ago, or 4 days ago probably. And that is, of course, this GTA 6 delayed to November 19th, 2026. Now, why is this important? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, the main important thing is everyone wants to get out of the way of Grand Theft Auto. I would say that Call of Duty is probably the only other game that can launch in proximity to Grand Theft Auto and not have a huge impact as far as sales or popularity, because Call of Duty is Call of Duty. Unless Call of Duty is hot trash garbage for some reason, if the game is bad, then people are like, okay, it's not as good, whatever. But that's going to happen regardless. But if it's a good Call of Duty, people are going to play it. People are going to buy it because it's Call of Duty. And Grand Theft Auto is not Call of Duty. It's a different thing. It's a different beast. It's a different animal. It's a different monster. This monster plus Call of Duty will give these consoles life. Specifically, PlayStation, because PlayStation is a third-party box. It relies on third-party to survive. Grand Theft Auto 6 is integral. It's a key piece of the puzzle to help PlayStation keep going down the tracks. They have no games of their own, so they have to rely on third party. If there's a giant third party game coming out, then it benefits PlayStation because they presumably have more players. Although the numbers are a little sus. They're kind of 50-50 if you want to be honest between PlayStation and Xbox as far as people playing and buying games. I'm just saying. Grand Theft Auto, it's a little bit of a different beast, but it'll sell great wherever. On PC, on Xbox, on PlayStation. It's going to sell a lot of consoles. It's going to sell a lot. Consoles going to sell a lot of units. I would say the one thing that might be happening. Now, we have, over a year until this game comes out now, right? So, let's just pretend that this is the second delay, by the way. And, well, actually, is it the third? I thought it was delayed out of this year to March, and then from March to, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. So, here's something that I am kind of, it's dancing around my brain cells a little bit. And it is really about business, not so much about, propping up PlayStation or harming PlayStation or whatever. But let's just imagine that, Grand Theft Auto is along. They've got most of the game, I would say, kind of there. They just got to fix this, fix that. I would say that they are definitely working on the PC version. It wouldn't make zero sense for them to not work on the PC version. I think what's happening is that they probably have the PC version kind of up and running in tandem with the console versions. That's not the thing that makes them money. It is Grand Theft Auto Online. So Grand Theft Auto Online 6 version, or I don't know how they're going to kind of posit this, because Grand Theft Auto Online started on 5. So will they call it Grand Theft Auto Online 2, or is it 6 because it's Grand Theft Auto? I don't know how they're going to do that, but the newer version of Grand Theft Auto Online is something that is super important for this company, this franchise, because that's where they make most of their money. And especially with the shark cards and how they sell so many units, is that every time there's a shark card kind of bundle, that's what it exactly is. It's a bundle with the actual game. So when you buy these shark cards, you get the game for free, if you will. And that's how they inflate their sale unit numbers, which is smart, albeit a little disingenuous, because the people who are buying shark cards already have the game. So they're just adding another unit sale for their statistics, basically. So they can say, oh, we sold 89 million units of Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's like, I mean, you sold a lot of shark card packs, and what is that, $40, and the game's included or something? Whatever. They found a loophole. I'm surprised Sony isn't biting that, because that seems like a really good loophole, especially with Sony. They like to have their numbers of how many units they sell really big and stuff, even though it has no bearing on actual MAUs, and that's the main thing, right? And Grand Theft Auto is so popular that they have these servers where they're RP servers, they're role-playing servers, where people are assuming roles and identities within the world of Grand Theft Auto, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna be a cop, and then they play cop. It's make believe in Grand Theft Auto. It's like I could be like, oh, I own a clothing shop called the Bandit's Burrow. I don't know. And yeah, you come and get your kicks, you get your fit on. Let's go. And that's all I do. I get up and I get in my little car, or I walk to work and I go in my store and I sell shirts and stuff. And that's the game I play. And people come in my shop and they buy stuff and I'm like, good. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And I say, I'm going on vacation. Somebody watch my shop. It's a whole thing. It's a whole crazy thing. It's a lot of imagination. It's a lot of role playing. That's what it is. But there's a big audience for that, because there's a lot of streamers who do that, and it's super interesting, and it's an ongoing. That's how your game survives through 2 generations, because of the RP, not because of the single player. Nobody's playing the single player of Grand Theft Auto 5. Nobody's playing that. They're playing these RP servers, and so the end goal for this new Grand Theft Auto is to have a new game, a new map, new new characters, new physics, new animations, higher fidelity, all this good stuff, and a new RP world for these new people to inhabit and to spend another 2 generations in. And that's the whole thing with Grand Theft Auto. And people aren't really talking about it. And people aren't, when they say, oh, Sony wants their own Grand Theft Auto or something like that, I was like, yeah, first of all, Sony can't do that. They can barely make an online game, multiplayer game. They are really bad at that. We've seen what they can do, and they're bad at it, okay? So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to get a big open world game with the multiplayer, with servers. Like, okay, good luck, but, you failed so far, so, okay, we have no faith. And that's where Grand Theft Auto stands alone. I mean, to some extent, same with Red Dead Redemption, but it's not as alluring, I don't think, because, you don't, it's not as relatable. We're from this century, some from last century, but, you can't give us a game that is like, almost 100 years removed with technology and expect us to be like, yeah, this is cool. I got on my horse and I rode for a week and I made it to the end of the map. I mean, it wouldn't take a week, but I'm just saying, it's not as exciting. It's not as, I mean, some people like that wilderness and stuff. Sure, they'll do that, but not really. Anyway, Grand Theft Auto now set to launch November 19th. Let me read this, and then we'll get into a little bit of other stuff. November 6th, so 4 days ago. Hello, everyone. Grand Theft Auto 6 will now release on Thursday, November 19th, 2026. We are sorry for adding additional time to what we realize has been a long wait, but these extra months will allow us to finish the game with the level of polish you have come to expect and deserve. We want to thank you again for your patience and support. While the wait is a little longer, we are incredibly excited for players to experience the sprawling state of Leonida and a return to modern-day Vice City. Sincerely, Rockstar Games. Yow! So yeah, that's what's happening. So my thing is that, besides Rockstar's books labeled their fiscal year, who cares, right? Whatever. They're fine. They're going to make their money off of this game. They're not in trouble. But Sony has been, this game being delayed twice is hurting Sony's books, because Sony is relying on that third-party money. They're relying on that Grand Theft Auto money. All these donkey unicorns and ponies are like, oh my gosh, you can't play Grand Theft Auto Day 1 on the new Xbox, or you can't blah, 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 blah. Well, it's being delayed again. So who says that another Xbox might not be out by 2026, fall 2026? Maybe it's the stars are lining up. Maybe, Xbox is pulling a fast one, kind of like how they pulled a fast one on Jeff Keighley, and they psyched him out with the Xbox Series X announcement, the video. They gave him a fake video for the practice, and Jeff was like, "Yeah, that look good, okay." And then Phil was like, "Oh yeah, this is the," and he was like, and Jeff was like, "Wait, that's not the script. What's going on here?" And Phil was like, "Gotcha, psych. We knew you were gonna leak it because you're a pony, so we psyched you out." Maybe they're doing the same thing. Maybe they're giving these false reports of, 2027, that's when the next Xbox is coming out. That's when the next PlayStation is coming out. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if the next PlayStation is coming out 2027. I'm going to be real, because if they're starting production in August of 2027, how many consoles do you think they'll be able to produce and put out into the wild by November or whenever they're going to launch in those 3 months? Not enough. And that's a problem, because if they launch it, they don't have enough units, then nah, son. So I don't know. And it seems like Xbox is farther along in their design phase or something. I don't know, whatever. But and also the reports were that PlayStation is in the prototype phase of not the FSR. It was something. They're prototyping something, one of the features of their new console. I'm like, wait, they're just in the prototyping phases of something that's supposed to be in the console that's supposed to be coming out. Okay, so they're not even close. So I don't know, but this delay is hurting Sony fiscally. That's what I'm saying. And so with this delay, now Sony's going to be like even tightening the belt even more. You're going to see even more kind of tactics to save money, whether it's doing more AI stuff, laying off more people. There was layoffs in, did Amazon lay off like 17,000 workers? Or, yeah, they did. And then who else just laid off some people? A whole bunch of people, more layoffs. And then, I don't hear it. I don't hear any ponies. I don't hear any donkey unicorns yelling and screaming and fake concerning about that. No, they just like, well, that's not Xbox, so we don't care. That's what it is. So that's just, it's just okie dokie. Sorry, today I have a little bit of a brain ache, so I'm going to keep this one a little bit short. But I just wanted to touch on this. I don't want to play any videos or anything, because I know I'll probably get a strike or something, because whatever. But yeah, this what happened. I was actually out of town when this dropped, so I was like, oh snap. And yeah, it's interesting that is happening, and the ramifications of its delay will affect launch titles, like the titles that were going to come out. Not Call of Duty. I mean, maybe they'll move Call of Duty well, actually, Call of Duty's usually been early November anyway, so it'll probably be late October, like this year. I think it's coming out like next week, right? Or no, I'm sorry. I think it's coming out this week, Call of Duty. But I think last year's came out in late October. So, I mean, they can move Call of Duty. That's not a problem. And like I said, Call of Duty isn't really... Grand Theft Auto isn't a threat to Call of Duty because of the beast that Call of Duty is. Everybody's going to play that regardless. Just like you see, like the whole, Battlefield 6 is going to, destroy Call of Duty, and that's what the ponies are hoping. And I've seen a bunch of PlayStation commercials because they, I guess, paid for the licensing or paid for the marketing because they don't have Call of Duty anymore. I don't think it would behoove Sony to pay Microsoft for the marketing of Call of Duty, and I don't think Microsoft would give them the marketing for Call of Duty, because I saw the Call of Duty commercial and it had an Xbox stamp on the end of it, and it wasn't the same Xbox stamp. It was a little bit different. It was a real quick, like bang, not like the Sony one. It was like I forgot. I don't actually remember what sound it made, but you saw the Xbox symbol. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I just saw that today, I believe. So I was like, oh. And I've seen the replacements. Those commercials are those are pretty funny too. I like those. But so so the whole Battlefield 6 is gonna, be better or destroy Call of Duty because Vincent Pella is on the scene and blah blah blah. No, because the last year's Call of Duty is beating the numbers of Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6 is already out. It's already out in the world. Like, oh, they're doing all these numbers, and then you look and say, oh yeah, the old Call of Duty's beating it because people are playing because it's Call of Duty players. That's why. And when the new one comes out, there will be more people playing Call of Duty 7, excuse me, than there will be playing Battlefield 6, period. Battlefield 6 is going to be there. It's probably going to fade into obscurity because they released a Battle Royale thing, I don't know, a couple of days ago, last week or something, and it didn't do anything, really. Nope. They were like, oh, yeah, it's like nobody's saying anything about it. I was like, okay. I think they said it was not the best or something. So I was like, whatever. But, hey, look, Call of Duty is a monster. Microsoft knew what they were buying. Sony, PlayStation, Jim Ryan, they knew what they were not buying and not getting and losing. And when I say losing, they're not really losing. They're just not gaining what Xbox is gaining, what Microsoft is gaining, because it's the 3070 or the 2080, whatever the split is, right? So PlayStation is still getting their cut, right, of each sale of Call of Duty. It's just that the other party that is getting the bigger cut of Call of Duty off of the backs of PlayStation players or PS5 owners is the enemy. And that's the genius of the strategy that Phil, Sarah, Matt, Satya, Amy Hood, let's call her too, and the other dudes, all of them combined into, Microsoft Voltron, whatever. They have figured out a way to outsmart, outmaneuver, and outspend, if you will, in a way, PlayStation. Matt Booty said it. We're gonna spend PlayStation out of business, and in a way, they're not actually spending them out of business, but they leapfrog them. In the words of the great Jimothy, leapfrog them. As far as, I don't know what if you want to say market leader, I believe Microsoft is a market leader because they are the biggest publisher. So in that respect, they are the market leader, being the biggest publisher. As far as revenue, that'll probably pop off this year. It seems that they're gonna make more money than PlayStation because games make more money than consoles. Period. I mean, it's just how it is, and the console sales are dropping because of this talk and this rhetoric of these new consoles coming out. Nobody's talking about the Pixel 5 Potato because it's trash and nobody wants it and it's too expensive. And as people say, oh, Xbox is too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Well, whatever. If someone wants to buy it, they'll buy it, but Xbox isn't losing money on those anymore. And that was the whole thing about, like, the whole, whatever it was, 29% down or whatever. It's like, that's fine. The sales are 29% down, but did they lose money on sales? No, because they raised the prices. So they could be like, yeah, we sell 29% less, but we made this much more because we're not losing money on the console. So it, like, when you look at the numbers in the right way, you understand what's going on. And it's not as a doom and gloom situation that all these duck unicorns and ponies try to posit it as. And so, whatever, look, it's all fun and games and all that stuff when it comes to us enjoying this console war rhetoric. But I would like for us as a whole to be more informed of the facts and not say things and say that they're the truth when they're not. I'm looking at you, Reforge, you dumbass. I'm just saying, generally speaking, he is that because he just, his rhetoric is poisoning. So much so that I have a headache and I got to get out of here. So I appreciate y'all coming out, like and subscribe. Listen to my cabla. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this delay. Yeah, is it doom and gloom for PlayStation? Because y'all are like, oh my God, can't wait for GTA 6, like it's your game or something. It's like, yeah, man. And like I said again, if they do day and date with PC, it's over. PlayStation ain't got a prayer in the world because it's like, nope, That was the only one last thing. You can't play GTA at launch because you don't have blah, blah, blah. And it's like, y'all are foolish. I mean, I might buy it for Xbox. I don't know. I'm generally not into the GTA games, but this one looks a little more interesting. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I appreciate, and I'll talk to y'all on the next one. Till the